What happens when one of Hollywood's most beloved action stars sits down for what should be a routine morning show interview, only to have it spiral into one of the most uncomfortable moments in live television history? The tension between Jackie Chan and Michael Strahan on Good Morning America wasn't just awkward, it was explosive. And before you see how this all unfolded, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling us what you think really caused this clash. The cameras were rolling, the studio audience was settled in their seats, and Michael Strahan flashed his signature smile as he prepared to welcome Jackie Chan to the famous yellow couch. Jackie walked out to applause, waving to the crowd with that familiar, humble energy he's known for. He sat down, adjusted his microphone, and seemed ready for another typical promotional interview. But what started as a standard conversation would quickly turn into something nobody in that studio was prepared for. Michael opened with what seemed like a straightforward question. So Jackie, you've been making movies for over 5 decades now. Incredible career, but I gotta ask, do you ever feel like Hollywood still sees you as just the kung fu guy, the action star, rather than the serious actor and filmmaker you've become? There was a brief pause. Jackie's smile faded just slightly. He looked at Michael with an expression that was hard to read at first. Then he spoke, his voice measured, but with an edge that wasn't there seconds before. Michael, I think that question, it shows exactly the problem. You say serious actor like action is not serious. You think what I do, the stunts, the choreography, the years of training, that is not serious? Michael seemed caught off guard, but tried to recover smoothly. No, that's not what I meant at all, Jackie. I have nothing but respect for what you do. I'm just saying, you've done comedy, you've done drama, but a lot of people still mainly know you for the action stuff. Don't you want to be recognized for more than that? Jackie leaned forward slightly, his eyes narrowing. You see, this is what I talk about. When American actors do action, they are called versatile. When I do action, comedy, drama, direct films, do my own stunts, risk my life, I am still just the kung fu guy. I have broken every bone in my body for cinema. Every bone. And you ask me if I want to be recognized for more? I am recognized everywhere else in the world. Maybe the question is, why America still sees me this way? The studio had gone noticeably quieter. Michael shifted in his seat, clearly realizing this wasn't going the way he'd planned. Jackie, I think you're taking this the wrong way, man. I'm not trying to diminish what you've done. You're a legend, everyone knows that. I'm just trying to have a conversation about your career evolution. Evolution? Jackie's voice rose slightly, not quite shouting, but definitely louder than before. My career evolved 40 years ago. I was doing things in Hong Kong cinema that nobody in Hollywood had ever seen. Practical effects, real stunts, no wires, no computer graphics. Then I come to America and suddenly I have to prove myself all over again. And even now, after all these years, I sit here and get asked if I want to be seen as serious. What do you think I have been doing all this time? Michael raised his hands in a calming gesture. Okay, I hear you. Let me ask you something else then. Your new film, you're playing a more dramatic role, less action than your fans might expect. Was that a conscious choice to show people a different side of Jackie Chan, or was it just the right project at the right time? Jackie sat back, his jaw tight. You still don't understand. I don't make choices to show people anything. I make choices because I am an artist. Because I love cinema. Because a story speaks to me. Not because I need to prove something to American audiences or American media. I have already proved everything I need to prove. The audience was completely silent now. You could feel the tension radiating through the studio. Michael glanced briefly at his co-hosts off camera, then back at Jackie. I respect that, Jackie. I really do. But you have to understand, in this country, people get typecast all the time. It happens to everyone. Athletes transition to acting, they get put in a box. Action stars want to do drama. They have to fight for it. It's not personal, it's just the industry. Jackie's expression hardened. Not personal? Let me tell you what is personal, Michael. Personal is when I read scripts in Hollywood and every role is the same. The funny Asian guy. The martial arts master. The wise old teacher. Personal is when directors tell me to do the accent more, be more. How do they say, more Chinese for the American audience? Personal is when I win Lifetime Achievement Awards and people act surprised that I can speak English, that I can tell stories, that I have something to say beyond kicking and punching. Michael looked genuinely uncomfortable now, but he pressed on. I get that, and that's a real issue in Hollywood, no question. But you've also had an amazing career here. Rush Hour made you a household name in America. You've worked with incredible directors, made hundreds of millions at the box office. Doesn't that count for something? Jackie stood up slightly, then sat back down, clearly frustrated. Rush Hour was 27 years ago, Michael. 27 years. And yes, it was successful. And yes, I am grateful. But if that is still the first thing everyone thinks of, if that is still how America defines me after everything else I have done, then maybe we need to ask different questions. Maybe instead of asking me if I want to be taken seriously, you should ask why Hollywood still cannot see Asian actors as more than what they decide we should be. Michael took a deep breath. Jackie, I think there's been a misunderstanding here. I'm not trying to box you in or define you by one thing. I'm genuinely interested in your perspective, in your journey, but I gotta be honest, it feels like you came in here with some frustrations already loaded up, and I'm just trying to have a conversation. Loaded up? Jackie's voice had an edge of disbelief. Michael, I have done thousands of interviews. Thousands! And in Asia, in Europe, in Africa, people ask me about my craft, about my philosophy, about what drives me as an artist. In America, I get asked about Kung Fu and if I do my own stunts and if I'm still friends with Chris Tucker every single time. So yes, maybe I am frustrated. Maybe I am tired of explaining the same things over and over and still being seen the same way. The tension was now undeniable, and Michael knew he had to either steer this back on track or acknowledge what was happening. Michael nodded slowly, his expression shifting from defensive to something closer to understanding, though the tension in his shoulders suggested he was still navigating dangerous territory. All right, Jackie, I hear what you're saying. So let me ask you this then. What do you want people to know about you that they don't already know? What's the thing that gets lost in all those interviews you're talking about? Jackie looked at him for a long moment, as if deciding whether to engage or shut down completely. He exhaled slowly. I want people to know that I am more than what they see on screen. I am a father. I am a philanthropist. I have built schools. I have created programs for young people in China and around the world. I am a singer. I have recorded albums. I paint. I collect art. I think about philosophy, about life, about what it means to leave something behind that matters. But when I come on shows like this, nobody asks about any of that. It is always about the movies, the stunts, the fights. Michael leaned in, his tone softer now. But Jackie, you're here promoting a movie. That's what these segments are for. You know that. We bring you on, we talk about your project, we have some fun, and we send you on your way. That's the format. If you want to talk about your philanthropy or your art, I'm happy to do that, but you got to understand, the audience tunes in to hear about Jackie Chan, the movie star. And there it is, Jackie said, his voice sharp again. The movie star. That is all I am allowed to be here, right? The product? The brand? You want Jackie Chan to show up, smile, tell some funny stories about stunts gone wrong, plug the movie, and leave. You don't want the real person. You want the character you think I am. Michael's jaw tightened. That's not fair, Jackie. I'm sitting here trying to have a real conversation with you, and you're acting like I'm the enemy. I didn't create Hollywood's problems. I'm not the one who typecasts people. I'm just a guy doing his job, trying to make good television and give you a platform to share whatever you want to share." Jackie pointed at him, his finger jabbing the air. "You say platform, but it is your platform, not mine. You decide the questions. You decide what is important. You decide how much time I get to answer before you move on to the next thing. You have all the power here, Michael, and you act like you are just innocent, just doing your job. But the questions you ask, they reveal what you think. And what you think is that I need to justify myself to explain why I deserve to be more than what you already decided I am." The production team off camera was clearly scrambling. You could see someone with a headset speaking urgently into a microphone, likely communicating with the control room. The camera operators kept filming, knowing this was too raw, too real to stop now. Michael looked briefly toward the wings, then back at Jackie. "Okay, you know what? Let's reset here. Clearly we got off on the wrong foot. Jackie, I have nothing but respect for you. You're right, I should have asked better questions. So let's start over. Tell me about the new film. What drew you to this story? What makes it special to you?" Jackie shook his head. "Now you want to start over? Now, after I tell you how I feel, you want to pretend like nothing happened and just move on? This is exactly what I'm talking about. No accountability, no real listening. Just move forward, get through the segment, make it look good for television." Michael's patience was visibly wearing thin. "Man, what do you want from me? You want me to apologize? Fine, I apologize. I'm sorry if my questions came across the wrong way. I'm sorry if I made you feel like I wasn't respecting your full career. But you're sitting here attacking me personally, and I don't think that's fair either. I didn't disrespect you. I asked you a question about your career, and you exploded on me." "Exploded?" Jackie's voice rose again. "You think this is exploded? You think because I speak honestly, because I don't just smile and nod and play the game, that I am exploding? Maybe if more people exploded, as you say, things would change. Maybe if more people said enough, this is not acceptable anymore, Hollywood would have to listen, but instead, everyone stays quiet, everyone plays nice, and nothing changes. Ever." Michael stood up slightly, then sat back down, his frustration evident. "You know what, Jackie, you're right about some things. Hollywood does have problems. There is typecasting. There is bias. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that doesn't exist. But you're also acting like I personally represent all of that, and that's not fair. I'm a black man in America. You think I don't understand what it's like to be put in a box? You think I haven't had to fight to be seen as more than just the athlete turned TV host?" Jackie's expression shifted slightly, a flicker of recognition, but his tone remained firm. "Then you should understand why I am saying what I am saying. You should understand why these questions matter, why the way we talk about people matters. If you understand what it is like, then why are you defending the same system that limits both of us?" "I'm not defending it," Michael shot back. "I'm trying to do my job and do it well. I'm trying to create opportunities for people, including people who look like you and me. But I can't fix Hollywood in a 7-minute interview segment, Jackie. Neither can you. What I can do is have a conversation, and that's what I thought we were doing here." "A conversation requires two people listening," Jackie said. "Not one person asking and the other person expected to perform. I did not come here to perform for you, Michael. I came here to talk about my work, my art, my life. But the way you frame the questions, it makes it impossible to have that conversation. It turns everything into a debate about whether I deserve respect, instead of just giving me respect from the beginning." The audience was completely motionless. Some people looked uncomfortable, others fascinated. This was not what anyone had signed up for when they came to see a taping of Good Morning America. Michael rubbed his face, clearly exhausted by the exchange. "Jackie, I'm going to be straight with you. I don't know what else to say here. I feel like no matter what I say, you're going to twist it into something negative. I asked you about your career evolution. You said I was calling you not serious. I asked about your new film. You said I was trying to box you in. I apologized. You said I was just trying to move on. So what do you actually want from this conversation? 'Cause I'm lost right now." Jackie stared at him, his expression unreadable. What I want is simple, Michael. I want to be seen. Really seen. Not as a symbol, not as a representative of Asian cinema, not as a martial arts legend, but as a human being who has lived a full life and has things to say beyond what Hollywood allows me to say. I want journalists, hosts, interviewers to do their research, to understand who they are talking to, and to ask questions that reflect that understanding. Is that too much to ask? No, it's not too much to ask, Michael said quietly. And maybe I didn't do that today. Maybe I relied too much on the surface level stuff, because that's what we always do on morning television. Quick, light, entertaining. But clearly that's not what you needed from this conversation, and I can own that. Jackie's shoulders relaxed slightly, but his voice remained serious. I've been doing this for 50 years, Michael. 50 years of interviews, of answering the same questions, of trying to educate people about what I do and why I do it. And I am tired. I am so tired of having to explain myself, of having to prove my worth, of having to fight for basic respect and understanding. At some point, the burden should not be on me anymore. At some point, the people asking the questions should do better. Michael nodded slowly, and for the first time since the interview started going sideways, there seemed to be a genuine moment of connection between them. You're right, Michael said, and there was a weight to his words that hadn't been there before. You're absolutely right. And I'm sitting here realizing that I did exactly what you're talking about. I had my questions prepared, I had my angle, and I didn't really think about who I was talking to beyond Jackie Chan, the action star. That's on me. Jackie studied him carefully, as if trying to determine whether this acknowledgement was genuine or just another tactical move to salvage the interview. He spoke slowly. It is not just on you, Michael. It is the system. It is the way television works, the way media works. Everyone is rushing. Everyone has a format. Everyone has a box they need to fit the guest into. But at some point, someone has to break that pattern. Someone has to say, this is not good enough anymore. I hear you, Michael replied. But Jackie, you gotta meet me halfway here. You came on the show. You knew what kind of show this is. If you wanted a different kind of conversation, maybe this wasn't the right venue. We're morning television. We're not doing hour-long sit-down interviews. We've got commercial breaks, time constraints, other segments. That's just the reality. And there is the excuse again, Jackie said, his frustration flaring back up. The format, the time constraints, the reality of television. These are all just ways of saying we cannot do better, so we will keep doing the same thing. But you can do better, Michael. This show can do better. All of media can do better. It just requires caring enough to try. Michael's expression hardened again. You keep saying we need to do better, but you're not exactly making this easy, Jackie. You've been hostile from the jump. You've turned every question into an attack. You've made assumptions about my intentions without giving me any benefit of the doubt. How is that productive? How does that lead to the kind of conversation you say you want? Hostile? Jackie's voice went up again. I am not hostile. I am honest. There is a difference. For too long, I have smiled. I have been polite. I have played the game. And where has it gotten me? Still answering the same questions. Still being seen the same way. So yes, today I decided to be honest. To say what I really think. And you call it hostile because it makes you uncomfortable. Because you are not used to your guests pushing back. It's not about being uncomfortable, Michael countered. It's about having a conversation versus having a confrontation. You're treating this like a debate you need to win instead of a dialogue where we're both trying to understand each other. And honestly, man, it's exhausting. I'm sitting here trying, really trying, and you keep shutting me down. Because your trying is still from a place of not understanding, Jackie said sharply. You are trying to fix the interview, to make it work, to get it back on track. But I am not interested in getting back on track. The track is the problem. The track is what keeps everything the same. I want to derail the track completely. The production team was now clearly in crisis mode. Someone walked quickly across the edge of the set, and you could see frantic hand signals being exchanged, but the cameras kept rolling. Michael looked exhausted, genuinely at a loss for how to proceed. "Okay, so what now?" Michael asked, spreading his hands. "We're live on television. We've got millions of people watching. We're supposed to be promoting your movie, having a nice conversation, and instead, we're in the middle of whatever this is. So what do you want to do, Jackie? You want to walk off? You want to keep arguing? What's the end game here?" "The end game," Jackie said slowly, "is that people watching this right now will maybe think differently. Maybe they will ask themselves why this happened. Maybe they will start to question the way media treats people, the way Hollywood treats people. Maybe some young Asian actor watching this will feel less alone, will understand that it is okay to speak up, to demand respect, to not accept being put in a box." Michael stared at him for a moment, then let out a long breath. "That's a noble goal, Jackie. I respect that. But you're also burning bridges right now. You're making enemies. People in this industry have long memories, and this kind of thing, it follows you. Is that really worth it?" "Worth it?" Jackie's eyes flashed. "Michael, I am 70 years old. I have made over 150 films. I have more money than I could ever spend. I have fans all over the world. What bridges do I need that I do not already have? What do I have to lose by telling the truth? The question is not whether it is worth it for me. The question is whether change is worth it for everyone who comes after me." "Fair enough," Michael said quietly. "But change doesn't happen by attacking people who are trying to help you. It happens by building coalitions, by working together, by finding common ground. And right now, you're not doing any of that. You're just angry." "Of course I am angry," Jackie said, his voice rising again. "I have earned the right to be angry. I have given everything to this industry, my body, my time, my life. And still, I sit here and have to justify myself. Still, I have to prove I am worthy of respect. Still, I have to educate people about who I am and what I have done. Yes, I am angry. And I am not going to apologize for it anymore." "Nobody's asking you to apologize for being angry," Michael said firmly. "I'm asking you to channel it in a way that's productive instead of just burning everything down around you. Because right now, that's what this feels like. You're not creating dialogue, you're creating chaos." "Maybe chaos is necessary," Jackie shot back. "Maybe things need to break before they can be fixed. You talk about dialogue, about working together, but dialogue has not changed anything. I have been having dialogue for 50 years. Where has it gotten us? Asian actors still get limited roles. Asian stories still get marginalized. Asian filmmakers still have to work twice as hard for half the recognition. So forgive me if I think dialogue is not enough anymore." "So what is enough?" Michael challenged. "Revolution? Burning it all down? And then what? You think if you storm off this set, if you make a scene, that suddenly Hollywood is going to change? That suddenly all the problems you're talking about are going to disappear? That's not how it works, Jackie. That's not how any of this works." "I know that is not how it works," Jackie said, his voice dropping but losing none of its intensity. "But at least people will remember this. At least there will be a moment where someone said enough, where someone refused to play the game, where someone demanded to be seen as a full human being instead of a convenient stereotype. That has value, Michael. Even if it does not change everything, it has value." The studio was dead silent. You could hear the hum of the equipment, the slight shuffle of feet from crew members frozen in place. Michael looked at Jackie, and for a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Michael leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. "You know what, Jackie? Maybe you're right. Maybe I don't get it. Maybe I'm too invested in the system to see how broken it really is. Or maybe you're being unrealistic about what one interview on a morning show can actually accomplish. I don't know. What I do know is that we're supposed to wrap this up in about 2 minutes, and I have no idea how to do that in a way that doesn't feel completely fake after everything that just happened." "Then do not wrap it up," Jackie said simply. Let it end the way it ends. Let people see that not everything can be tied up nicely with a bow. Let them sit with the discomfort. That is more honest than pretending everything is fine when it is not. Michael looked toward the cameras, then back at Jackie. His expression suggested he was weighing something significant, calculating the professional risk of what was unfolding. "You want honest," Michael finally said, his voice carrying a new edge. "Fine. Let's be honest. You came on this show with an agenda. You didn't come here to promote your movie. You came here to make a statement, to prove a point, and you used me as your vehicle to do it. And that's fine. That's your choice. But don't sit here and act like I'm the villain in your story when you're the one who turned this into a confrontation from the very first question." Jackie's eyes narrowed. "I had no agenda when I walked out here, Michael. I came prepared to have a conversation, but your first question told me everything I needed to know about how this would go. And yes, I made a choice in that moment to not let it slide, to not play along. Is that an agenda? Or is that just refusing to accept disrespect?" "Disrespect?" Michael's voice rose. "I showed you nothing but respect. I called you a legend. I acknowledged your incredible career. I asked you thoughtful questions about your work. But because they weren't the exact questions you wanted, because they didn't fit your narrative of how you should be treated, you decided I was the enemy. That's not fair, Jackie, and deep down, you know it." "What I know," Jackie said, each word deliberate, "is that respect is not just in the words you say. It is in the preparation you do. It is in understanding who you are talking to. It is in recognizing that someone's value is not just in what they can do for your show, but in who they are as a complete person. And I did not feel that today, Michael. I felt like another guest, another segment, another box to check off. Because that's what this is," Michael said, his frustration boiling over. "This is a morning show. We have dozens of guests every week. We have a format, we have a structure, we have expectations from our audience and our network. I can't give every single guest a personalized, deeply researched, philosophical conversation. That's not realistic. And if that makes me the bad guy, then I guess I'm the bad guy." "Nobody is asking for perfection," Jackie replied, "but there is a difference between doing the minimum and doing your best, and today felt like the minimum." It felt like you looked at Jackie Chan on the schedule, thought action star, martial arts, rush hour, and that was enough research for you. And maybe that works for most of your guests, but it does not work for me anymore. I am done accepting the minimum. Michael stood up suddenly, and for a second, it looked like he might walk off the set himself, but he stayed, standing there, looking down at Jackie, who remained seated. "Then do us all a favor," Michael said, his voice tight. "Next time you get invited somewhere and you think the minimum isn't good enough, just decline the invitation. Don't come on the show, don't waste everyone's time, and don't make the host look bad on live television because you've got personal grievances with the entire entertainment industry." Jackie stood up slowly, matching Michael's stance. "Now you show your true feelings. Now the professional mask comes off. You are upset not because I have legitimate concerns, but because I made you look bad. That is what this is really about for you. Not understanding, not growth, not change. Just protecting your image, protecting the show, protecting the system that benefits you." "You don't know anything about what benefits me," Michael fired back. "You don't know what I've had to overcome to get here. You don't know the fights I've had, the doors that were closed in my face, the times I was told I couldn't do something because of who I am. So don't stand there and lecture me about the system like I'm some privileged person who doesn't understand struggle. I understand it better than you think." "Then why do you defend it?" Jackie asked, his voice suddenly quieter but no less intense. "Why do you perpetuate it? You have power, Michael. You have influence. You could use this platform to do things differently, to ask better questions, to challenge stereotypes instead of reinforcing them. But instead, you fall back on the same excuses. The format, the time constraints, the reality of television. You have become part of the machine you once fought against. That hit differently. You could see it in Michael's face, the way his expression shifted from anger to something more complicated. He opened his mouth to respond, then closed it. When he finally spoke, his voice was lower, more controlled. You think you know me, but you don't. You think you've got me all figured out based on one interview, but you don't know the conversations I have behind closed doors. You don't know the changes I'm trying to make. You don't know anything except what you see right now, in this moment, on this set. You are right, Jackie said. I do not know those things, but I know what I experienced today. And what I experienced was disappointing. It was another reminder that no matter how much you achieve, no matter how much you give, you still have to fight for basic recognition and respect. And I am tired, Michael. I am so incredibly tired of fighting. For the first time since the interview started deteriorating, there was something other than anger in Jackie's voice. There was weariness, vulnerability, a glimpse of the real exhaustion beneath the confrontation. Michael heard it too. His shoulders dropped slightly. I get that, Michael said quietly. I really do. And maybe I could have done better today. Maybe I should have prepared more, thought deeper about who I was talking to, instead of what segment we were filling. That's fair criticism, and I can own it. But Jackie, you've got to understand, this doesn't just affect me. This affects everyone on this crew, everyone who worked to set this up, everyone who's watching at home expecting to see a normal interview. There are consequences to this. Consequences, Jackie repeated, almost to himself. Yes, there are always consequences for speaking the truth, for demanding change, for refusing to accept the status quo. But there are also consequences for staying silent, for playing along, for letting things continue the way they have always been. And I have decided that I would rather deal with the consequences of speaking up than the consequences of staying quiet. Michael looked at him for a long moment, then glanced toward the wings where producers were frantically signaling. He looked back at Jackie. So what now? We're well past our time. We're in territory nobody planned for. Do we shake hands and pretend this ended okay? Do we just walk off in different directions? What's the play here, Jackie? There is no play, Jackie said. This is not a performance. This is real. And the truth is, Michael, I do not know how this ends. I do not know if this conversation changed anything. I do not know if anyone watching understands what I was trying to say, but I know that I said it. I know that I did not back down. I know that I stood up for myself and for everyone like me who is tired of being diminished, tired of being put in boxes, tired of having to prove their worth over and over again. Michael nodded slowly. All right, then I guess we end it here. No fake reconciliation. No forced moment of unity. Just two people who had a difficult conversation and didn't come to an easy resolution. Maybe that's more real than anything we usually do on this show anyway. Maybe it is, Jackie agreed. He started to turn away, then paused. Michael, I do not hate you. I hope you understand that. I am frustrated with the system, with the way things work, with the patterns that keep repeating. But I do not hate you personally. You are trying to do your job. I understand that. I just wish your job allowed for more depth, more truth, more real connection. I wish that too, Michael said, and there was genuine sincerity in his voice, more than you know. But we work with what we have, and we try to do better when we can. That's all any of us can do. Jackie looked at him one more time, nodded slightly, then walked off the set. No wave to the audience, no final smile, no manufactured moment of closure. He simply walked away, leaving Michael standing there, the cameras still rolling, the studio in stunned silence. Michael watched him go, then turned back to the camera. "We'll be right back after this," he said, his voice steady despite everything that had just happened. Then the show cut to commercial, and the most uncomfortable interview in Good Morning America history was over, leaving everyone who witnessed it with more questions than answers. So what do you think really caused this heated clash? Was Jackie Chan right to call out the way he's been treated, or did he take things too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss more stories like this. Do you think Michael Strahan could have handled this situation better, or was he put in an impossible position?